today we have a very good scientist, SP Kosta sir. Sir, actually, I just want first you just introduce yourself so that the people can aware about your researches and whatever you have done for our country. And mostly, we want to know the first satellite of India, Aryabhatta, how you manage that one, and what kind of difficulties you were facing with your team, and as a lead, what exactly you did, and what exactly your role was. And later, we want to know what exactly new research you are going to do.
See, I was born in a place called Karhan. It's a suburban of city Jabalpur. Jabalpur is a well-developed city of Madhya Pradesh. I was born on September 1st, 1930. I used to go for schooling in a nearby government primary school, and then I joined the Polytechnic institution in Jabalpur, which is nowadays called Kalaniketan. And then from there I passed the high school technical examination in 1951. Then I joined Robertson College of Jabalpur, a well-known government college of Madhya Pradesh government. I did my MSc Physics with Electronics as a special subject. I came out of the college in 1958. Then I went to USA on training in a company which is Andrew Corporation, who they gave me the scholarship, and I was trained in the antenna systems of electronics, various types of antennas. I got the training and developed log periodic antenna there, one of the very wide band antennas.
Sir, as you got the scholarship, so you did the top in any kind of examination?
No, you see, I was interviewed by the company people in New Delhi. They advertised for the research scholars and trainers. I was interviewed and they selected me.
Okay.
And they paid me fair. They took me there. Then they trained me for about 1 year.
And that's a government organization?
No, it was a private industry. Well-known industry of communications in Chicago. Then after coming from there, I was appointed by the government of India as school officer in Central Electronics Engineering Research Institute, Pilani, an institution which develops a lot of communication systems.
It's a bit planning or any other?
No, it's a Central Electronics Engineering Research Institute of CSIR, Council of Scientific Industry Research, Government of India. I worked there as a senior scientific officer grade 1, and then I was selected by Professor Yadav, one of the leading figure of ISRO, for his satellite project. So I went through the selection committee of ISRO. Then I was appointed as senior engineer and then put in charge of a project called Aryabhatta, the first satellite of India.
Sir, who has suggested that name Marbetta? Your team or someone?
No, the government of India had a collaborative agreement with Soviet Union, USSR Academy of Sciences. So the USSR Academy of Sciences and Government of India, through ISRO, signed a joint project for the launch of the first satellite of India. The vehicle, the rocket was provided by USSR Academy of Sciences. And this project was sanctioned in 1971 and I was appointed by the ISRO as Principal Technical Officer and Deputy Director of the project. My responsibility was to recruit the scientists, competent scientists, and then they were all having the MTech degree from IITs of Government of India, in India, from IIT Madras, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, and we recruited around 100 MTech students and around the same number BTech students, along with some diploma holders, and the team for Aryabhat project.
Sir, in the interview panel, how many persons were there?
See, when I was selected, there were 7 directors,
Okay.
and from DRDO, and member secretary from the Government of India, Department of Science and Technology. At that time, you see, I just came from America.
Okay.
So the main task for me and some of my senior officers was to send some of these boys to different countries like France, NASA, USSR for training the various fields like telecommunications, structural design.
So you went to NASA also?
Yeah, we used to go to NASA.
So you worked there?
Youth center. There, you see, we used to go for 10 days, 8 days under government agreement. The government of India used to recruit and they used to agree for a joint program. Okay, for training. So under that, I also got training, my people got training. And from 1971 to April 75, we completed the project. And we launched on 19th April 1970. Why? It was launched from Kapustiniar, one of the launching stations of USSR under the government of USSR and government of India, joint program, cooperative program. And it so happened that the satellite was launched and it was successful in sending the signals to the stations which we developed at Peeny and Bangalore. So we got the signals and the satellite health parameters were measured and we were very happy because we were able to develop the bus, the systems which could survive in space. And that was the objective, was to learn the technology, to develop a technology for making a spacecraft bus which can survive in the space under the working conditions, transmitting, receiving the signal. It went very well, and for 3 years we went on doing a lot of experiments. One of the experiments was also from the SAR center. We sent the one of the doctors treated a patient in Sriharikota, and that signal was sent through the satellite to Bangalore to a specialist doctor for advice. And the doctor gave the advice. So we could tell to the people that yes,
this satellite will also be able to connect the two specialists for guidance or for exchange of thoughts. So that type of experiments we did it. The main difficulty we faced during this project was, that we were not knowing anything. We were all MTechs and BTechs and PhD holders from different universities and IITs. And we were not knowing the how to really make and test the systems, like for vibrations, because the satellite, when it is put in the rocket, lot of vibrations will come up. At that time, satellite has to be kept working to find this vacuum conditions. Under vacuum conditions, many systems may be visited. So at all these hostile conditions, the satellite worked very well. What we got when we successfully launched is that a trained team of about 300 engineers and scientists who were trying to learn the systems technology, such as the telecommunication, power system, structural design, and how the whole thermal balance of the energy in the system. So that type of things the world learned, and that made the impact in doing this in one way it can be said that this project gave a clue to the decision makers of the government of India that we should get into this technology, how we can use the space for benefit of it. So the obvious thing was that can we put a camera in this? So the next satellite we put up a camera in it, with Bhaskara satellite. And in that Bhaskara satellite, the optics payload was this. And that went around after 3 years, somewhere 1977. The Bhaskara was launched after 1.5 to 2 years. And it successfully took the pictures of the rivers, Ganges, Narmada, and the many parts of the country, ocean near Bombay. We also measured one very interesting that when the satellite used to pass, it used to measure the temperature of the satellite. So if the hillock or the place where it has got mineral deposits, you take the temperature during the morning and during the day, and then during the day it will be hot, and then
So the functionality of Aryabhatta and Bhaskara, both are same or a bit different?
no, Bhaskara was aimed to develop a payload, an application payload. How satellite is structured like Bhaskara, Aryabhatta. Bhaskara was also similar like Bhaskara, Aryabhatta. But it was the payload, but the application, how the satellite can help the society. So we fitted a camera in that. A payload we call the optical payload. And that took the pictures of the ocean and rivers. And then it gave, this is called remote sensing, taking a picture from a distance. And then its applications are, suppose the river is in despair, then water will overflow the banks. Then we know this is how when it is flooded, this is how the water will spread. So next year when the rainy season comes, the people who were living in that area, they were asked to vacate because this is how one can save the life. This is one of the applications of it. And so then later on in 70, I know it is about 81 or 82, we launched a satellite called Application Payload for Communications. So this satellite was launched with the help of the European Space Agency's rocket, and it contained a transponder of communications. So it could transmit signal from Delhi to Bombay, Bombay to Delhi, This is how the telephonic conversation could be established. And then also it has some camera system also which could also take the pictures. In nutshell, I will say that the India developed from a simple bus of Aryabhatta to application payloads for remote sensing, taking the pictures and all that, and also communication, and then television broadcast from a satellite. So this April satellite was put into the orbit of 36,000 kilometers over the equator. Okay, and it was placed over India. So one can send the signal to it. You can connect number of towers. Somewhere you are talking, it will go to the studio, to the tower, well tower, it will link to the satellite. And from satellite it will decode the signal and then try to orientate your signal towards the side where you want to go. So this is how it was done.
So you got success in many kind of projects.
Yeah.
So which success was most important for you?
You see, I will say myself that you see, the Aryabhatta was the most important success story.
The first one, right?
Because we learned from scratch how to build a space-worthy system.
And I came to know some signals after 5 days we were not getting.
See what happens when the satellite is in the very initial stages. It goes through. Its antenna systems are working. And sometimes क्या होता है when we are also tracking it.
Yeah.
So there may be a tracking error.
Yeah.
And due to that for some time we didn't get it. But the orbit of Aryabhatta periodic time was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So in one orbit we didn't get a second orbit, we got it.
So that was the most
Very
important.
critical. No, even what had happened when the signal was, the satellite was launched into the orbit, and Madam Gandhi was very, very dynamic. And she was directly in charge, and I was very close to her. Because I used to explain to her in English. So when the satellite was launched, then I was waiting, she was also waiting. Afternoon it was around 3:30, about 3:30 or so in the afternoon. The moment it went, the satellite passed, came into the catching zone of India, and we got the pulses from there. I just connected that directly. We had a hotline with the Prime Minister waiting. And when we said, Madam, we have got it, the signal is received. And the way she was so happy, what you take the reading, do other things, come. And I want to have the press conference. And she announced that India is space. So, a lady, I cannot describe the, what you call in Hindi, Mahatma Gandhi. And a lovely Prime Minister of India. And she announced and we were all happy. This is how, you see, the pleasure for any scientific worker is that when whatever he does and if it is successful and it is useful to the society. Not for the sake of developing a technology which will be useful, may not be useful. But it's a common use. Now today in India we know what is happening anywhere. By our satellites we know it, we can connect any part of the country, we can send any signal to them. So this is a mass applications. We can educate these schools live to live, classroom to classroom, we can just pass on to
Yeah, actually, sir, the first thing is very important. The enhancement can.
You see, the thing is to when you leapfrog, your step with first goes. You don't know where it will fall.
Yeah.
You know, and if it falls on a solid place, you are able to stable yourself there and then try to do something useful for the society. You got it.
Yeah.
What is pleasure? I consider it, if any act what I do, if it has some useful application for the society, then it's pleasure.
Yeah, correct.
So this is how we develop. Then at the time I have to shift from there to department, and then I took over as vice chancellor of Jabalpur University Government University. My line from scientific research that came to education. We developed the education system. We have developed After retiring from there, I developed three institutions, one in Sri Ram Engineering College, level 2 graduate, I am sitting at. Another one I developed in Sagar Research Institute.
See, one thing I am curious to know, you worked with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
It's a very interesting story. You see what happened. We launched in 1975 the satellite first time. Kalam was the project leader for satellite launch vehicle, that is rocket. To launch a satellite is a process. So he succeeded in it with the Rohini satellite built by my group. And then after that we were all put to the headquarters. He was director of looking like a rocket program and director of satellite. So we used to sit together, and then I do remember when